Welcome to the Geek Easy. Sit back, grab a libation of your choice, and relax, 'cause it's time to do some geek stuff in the Geek Easy. Welcome to the Geek Easy, fellow geeks. Grab a beverage of your choice, because today I'm going to be doing something a little different. 2023 is the 45th anniversary of the release of Superman the movie starring Christopher Reeve. And our local theater pub, which is just about like 2 or 3 blocks from here, was having a special showing today. And I haven't seen that on the big screen since it came out in 1978. A couple of years ago. So I decided to go. My cousin's brother-in-law, who I go to our con with up here, I don't even think he's seen the movie, let alone seen it on the big screen. So he came. And just because in the vein of not wearing the band's shirt to the concert, I wore my Batman shirt. Just because. And when I sat down in the theater, I couldn't believe how excited I was getting. Because it had been 45 years since I'd seen it on the big screen. And it was just, wow. Okay. And I know a lot more about Superman than I did then. Didn't know Jack then, but I know a lot now. So since this is 1978, this is pre-crisis Superman. You have the one where Clark Kent is just the kind of bumbling nerd who, can't, do anything right. You have Superman being at least in the comics anyway, flying out of space and pulling planets behind him and all that. But so this is this time period of Superman. And as I'm watching it now, there was certain things that they got absolutely right for the time period. But then a couple of things that just didn't really strike me as right, so to speak. And I go, let me get you some of the things they did right. This was something that is right, something that I liked, but it was not right for the comics. Okay, like I said, this is pre-crisis Superman. He did not become Superman until he was in his 30s. So this movie completely ignored Superboy. He did not exist, which I am so glad that they did. Another thing is they didn't make him, and I don't really think they had the time to do this, or the inclination in the story, to make him ultra super powerful. Like flying around the galaxy and just doing whatever the hell he wanted, like I said, pulling planets behind him, and being a super ventriloquist and shooting clones out of his fingers and all that. But so they did that right. And of course there was Miss Tessmacher. How could he not like Miss Tessmacher? She was so appealing. Now, some of the things that made me wonder in this movie, watching it now as an adult, where I've been reading Superman for a while, off and on, he leaves home at 18. Okay, because right after the death of his father, and in this one they got it right, his dad died of a heart attack. He even says in the movie, with all the powers I have, I couldn't stop him from dying, which is important to the formation of Superman. But right after his father dies, he finds the crystal, and then he decides that he needs to leave. I don't know if it's because the crystal told him he needed to leave or something. It's just all of a sudden he's just like, oh, gotta go. And he walks up north to the North Pole, where he throws the crystal and it makes the Fortress of Solitude. Now, at least pre-crisis, I'm not 100% sure which came first, but in most renditions I've read over the last few years, he becomes Superman first, still doesn't really know what's going on, and then makes his Fortress of Solitude in order to get away from people. But when he gets to the Fortress of Solitude, he makes it. He finds all these crystals there, and he is able to talk back and forth with Jor-El. Finds out everything about him, who he is, and he spends 12 years in the Fortress of Solitude learning from Jor-El. What's he learning in all this time? What's he learning? You get just a tad bit, like, yes, I'm your father. And I'm sitting there thinking, Clark, I am your father. It's like, oh, wait, wrong movie. And you are forbidden to interfere with the history of humankind. Which, by just him being there, that sort of interferes with history of humankind. But, they're just doing that to set it up. The ending. But, one thing, and so they do that, but then they show him in his suit, and he goes flying off. So that part was just really kind of weird to me, because, what's he learning in all that 12 years? And then you see him in the suit flying off. They never explain why he needed to have that suit, or at least in the movie. We know, but they don't explain in the movie why he needs the Superman suit, or what made him decide to have that. Why he decided to have a distinct difference between Clark Kent and Kal-El, who will eventually become Superman. What was the factors that went into him deciding that? They never showed that on screen. No mention it of, oh, I'm just doing this to protect my family, or that when he was getting interviewed by Lois or something. Now here's another thing. They had that one little kind of cool first interview with Lois Lane and Superman, where he decides to tell everybody his weakness. Can't see through lead, can't, yada, yada, yada. I'm 6'4", I'm 300, 200 and something pounds, yada, yada. All that. But this is the first, one thing that struck me as odd and weird. Maybe it was just maybe they cut a scene early in the movie or something. But this is supposed to be her first interview, the first time they've really talked, other than when he saved her from falling from the helicopter. She said, "Are you completely invulnerable, just partially, and are you still feel no pain?" How would she know those things if they'd never talked before? If they'd never been gotten out? So it's just little things like that you're like, what up? What up with that? But yeah, those were kind of some of the bad things. Good things is the majority of the special effects still hold up. There's a couple of things that you can see where, screen in the background, but that's not bad considering this was done 45 years ago, 46 years ago. It still looks pretty damn good being that old with the special effects. And yeah, and the only thing that really kind of bugged me was the ending, and I know that was due to studio interference, because they were shooting 1 and 2 back to back. That's why they had Zod and everybody at the beginning, and Zod having that wonderful line, I will have you bow down before me, and one day your heirs, which with his accent when I was a kid and for a long time, I always thought, I'll have you bow down before me, and one day your ass. And it's like, that never made sense to me. And then finally I realized, wait a minute, he's saying heirs, which makes a whole hell of a lot more sense. But then he was going over budget and all that stuff, so they had to do the go around the planet thing, which I think they were supposed to do at the end of 2. But overall, this was a fantastic movie. The first one that took superhero movies seriously. I mean, yes, there was a tad bit of camp. Like him not being able to find a phone booth in order to change his suit. And then when he comes out from switching through the rotating door, he's got the pimp saying, "Yo, Jack, great outfit." I mean, wow. But this movie takes it seriously, and it's very well done. So I'm going to give this a 4.0 because there were certain little things like, dude, really, you have to do this. Why can't you just throw in a couple lines here to fill in the information? But 4.0 out of 5, and say, if you haven't seen it, go see the man. Go see the movie. Christopher Reeve, second person who fell prey to the Superman curse. He deserves all the attention he can get for these movies. So anyway, like, subscribe, most of all, enjoy your comic movies.